Barcelona fans worldwide, welcome back to the Kula Cast. I'm your host, Jude. It's good to be back. I know it was a little bit MIA last week. I wasn't feeling at my best, which was unfortunate because I missed a lot of great content last week. I mean, we had a great win against Bilbao, followed by a championship lift last Sunday versus our arch rivals in Madrid. And then all the fallout from that game. I mean, there's been so much to talk about, but I'm back with you, ready to cover it all and cover our favorite team. So for today, we're going to be doing a pre-match review for the upcoming Copa del Rey round of 16 game versus Santander, Racing Santander. Exciting game against the second division team, but they're top of the second division. And as we know, as of today, that's not a given. Anything can happen, right? Like literally everything, including the things that we thought would never happen, can happen. I'm gonna try not to gloat too much in this video of the hilarious turn of events that have been going on this week against that team in Madrid. But it's all I'll say is let's check in on Steve McManaman. Let's just make sure he's doing all right. You know, we're all humans here. We want to make sure everyone's fine. We want to make sure everyone's okay. Even the Barcelona haters, we want to love our haters. So I'm not gonna focus too much on that, but I'm saying that result has great implications for Barcelona going into this game because we want to make sure that doesn't repeat itself with us, right? But for this video, we'll go over the press conference, the pre-match press conference that Hansi Flick did, which again, privileged to be able to listen into that and understand that as he does those in English. And then we'll do a little bit of an article roundup to see what the stories are around the team going into this game tomorrow. So in reviewing the press conference, we'll start with the first comment that stood out to me, Hansi just talking about racing and this game and the team's mindset going into it. And he mentioned that Racing is a young team and they are brave and they play great football. They will be motivated and Barca has to be able to be ready for the energy that's going to be in that stadium and the challenge ahead of them. And they did beat Villarreal to be able to be at this point in the round of 16. Villarreal is third in the league, so Racing is no slouch. And Barcelona is going to have to bring its best. And again, after what happened today with Madrid, you got to show up. You cannot take it for granted. You got to show up and you got to play. Or you can get beat. Any team can get got any day, right? So I like that was his mindset. And that press conference was this morning before we even saw what happened today. But it's going to be the results of that game and the highlights of that game is going to be must-view watch for that team, for our team, to be able to see that, hey, this can happen to you too if you do not show up in the right way and you let the energy in the stadium and the fans and the motivated team and all of that surrounds that get to you. You can get got. And then also it should be must-watch viewing because, I mean, it's perfect hate watch. It's 10 out of 10. I might watch it at least 2 or 3 more times today before I go to bed because it was just that much fun to watch. Next comment that stood out to me, he was talking about Joao Cancelo, who officially signed with the team, has officially started training with the team. He mentioned that he feels like they're doing great with their center backs, which is a shift in tone because previously he said even with Joao coming in, he would still love for the team to sign a left-sided center back, but now he feels that with the center backs that they have and with Araujo coming back, that they're in a good place. So Cancelo coming into the team right now gives them a little bit more than adding another center back would. I think this is also an understanding of where the team is right now, where they just don't have the money. They have negative money actually. My bet would be that they have negative money. That's what like it shows in their bank account. So they just can't sign anyone right now. But they were able to get Joao, luckily, on a loan, and it does offer them a little bit something. And that's he's just gonna have to make do with that. He also mentioned that Cancelo would be able to offer them something that they actually will probably really need is when teams play them in that low block. Cancelo and his ability on the ball and his ability to create and move players around with his movement on the ball and his ability to pass and everything that he brings going forward as a fullback will allow them to break teams down a little bit more easily. Just that extra player with that kind of ability on the ball that maybe they don't get from having a Koundé, who is still out and out, in my opinion, the starter. And I would imagine Hansi Flick feels the same way. But yeah, I think that's going to be an exciting ability because most teams that Barcelona play don't want to be protagonists against this team. They just know that it will hurt them because they're just too good going forward. So they want to sit back and they want to counter Barcelona, but it's also kind of hard for Barcelona to break that down from time to time. But Cancelo offers them someone who can allow them to do that a little bit more easily. He also mentioned that Cancelo has a chance to play tomorrow. I thought it might be a little bit too early before I listened to his pre-match comments, but it seems like there's a good chance he might be able to at least get some minutes, get warmed up before this weekend's game. So I think that would be pretty exciting to see, and I think it's a good matchup for him. If they don't play down to their opponent, it would be a good matchup for him to like just get warmed up, a little bit lower stakes than maybe some of the more difficult teams in the first division. So looking forward to seeing if that actually comes to fruition or not. Next comment that stood out to me, he was asked about if Joan Garcia will play tomorrow, and he said, he kind of laughed it off. He said Joan Garcia would likely play, but we'll see. I think Joan Garcia is playing. I think my takeaway from here, and just listen to how Hansi Flick talks about Joan Garcia, and has been talking about him all season. Everyone in this world, we just want to get someone who loves us as much as Hansi Flick loves Joan Garcia. I think at this point he's not even thinking about like rotating the team for the sake of like getting other players, getting Tech or Ter Stegen some playing time. I think he's just a Joan Garcia fan and he just wants to see him play, and that's why he just keeps playing him no matter who the opponent is, no matter what the competition is. Because this dude absolutely loves this keeper. He mentioned how he had absolutely zero nervousness in the Madrid game not because of Pedri or Frankie or Rafinha or Lamine or all the other players or Cuba or Jules Koundé and all the other players that they have on this team that makes this team so good and deadly. His confidence in that game was because he had Joan Garcia as keeper. And I mean, I kind of get it, but it's just so hilarious how much he's like, I am all about winning games, and if I'm serious about winning games, that means Joan Garcia is playing if he has 2 feet and is not injured, and etc. So I love to see it, and I love to see how much confidence he has in this player. I think he's earned it as well. So I love that for both of them. It seems like they got a good love relationship going there. My last comment that stood out to me is Hansi talking about the dynamic around the team and the closeness in the team, and it shows that Hansi coming into this Barcelona squad has truly changed the culture at Barcelona, where there's especially been an emphasis on this team being more of a family and having a family culture and dynamic around the team. And he mentioned that it's not just about the players, and the coaches and the administrative staff and all of that, like they've truly made it around everyone who is involved with this team, and this especially includes the families of the team. And there's been an emphasis there to make them feel included. They get flown out to away games, and families of the team were flown out to Saudi Arabia for the Super Copa, and they're allowed to be around the team and around their players. And I think it's so important across any sport. When players feel like the team they play for, the club they play for, cares for them more than just what they offer on the pitch and what they can do for the team, then they're even that much more motivated to play for the badge and represent the badge, and you get the best out of them. I think them granting Araujo leave for his mental health and giving him as long as he felt like he needed to be able to like take care of that, I think is, and then welcome him back with open arms when he was ready to come back, and integrate him in the team and ask him if he feels like he's ready to play and work. And you know, like I feel like there's just little things like that show that like we care about you first, you as a person first, and then as a player second. And I think that really does get the best out of players. And Hansi's always been well decorated and praised for his ability to manage players, even more so than a tactician, and manage a locker room and get the best out of players no matter what their ego is or how important they feel like they are. And I think that that's really shown in this team, and that really shows in the ability and the success that he has had in his 1.5 years, or more than, a little bit more than 1.5 years with this team so far. Okay, so those were my main comments that stood out from his press conference. I'll kind of go into a little bit of an article roundup now. My first article is one about Joe Fernandez, and it seems like he's set to miss the Copa del Rey clash. He's been experiencing some injury discomfort. Apparently he came back from his U18 call-up with some discomfort, and they had hoped that he would recover in time for this matchup, but they don't want to take the risk, so he likely will not play tomorrow. I think that this is fine. I think they have enough players in that position where he would have been coming off the bench most likely anyway. And again, after the funny results today, I think they're not going to take any chances with this game. I do expect them to mix in the team a little bit, give some players some rest, but they're definitely gunning for a win and are going to set up their team to play that way. So he likely would have been coming off the bench, but I think it would have been nice to see him get some minutes. I know he's a really promising player, and minutes are hard to come by in this team, so wherever you can get them, it's nice. For example, I do expect to see maybe Marc Bernal and maybe both Marc Bernal and Casado get some minutes tomorrow. So it would have been nice for him, but I also agree with the decision. With a young player, it's not worth it to risk it. Let him feel right, and then he'll have his opportunities later in the season to get some playing time. Speaking of young players, my next article is about Marc Bernal, and it's talking about how he has not made the decision of if he wants to leave on loan this winter. Mundo is reporting that his level of involvement in the upcoming matches will be key in his decision. He hopes to get more minutes in order to regain form, but Barca has also been cautious in bringing him back and easing him in and his minutes, with him coming back from that ACL injury last year. And they're really cautious after what happened with Gavi, so they don't want to rush him back too much, but he also needs minutes to get back into form and to improve. It mentions that Girona is an option for teams that are wanting to see if he might be able to leave on loan. My thoughts on this is I don't want him to leave. I think every player who is quality on this team, which is most players, if not all, they're going to be needed in some way or some form. If this team is going to compete for everything, Copa del Rey, the league, Champions League, 3 trophies still in play, I think they need every single one of these players. They definitely needed all of them last season by the time we got to the end of the season, and I think they're gonna need all of those players this season as well. I would just feel so much more comfortable knowing that they have the security of Mark Bernal, who I think is going to be a great player in his future, and I think can give them something now if he ever needs to be brought on. And I think in the minutes that you have seen him play, he's steadily gotten better and more comfortable coming back from the injury. So I don't want him to go on loan. I hope they don't send him away on loan, because I think they're gonna need him and it might come back to bite them. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully they don't need him, but it's always great to have a security when you're playing as many games as they're going to be playing down the stretch. My last article here is about Lewandowski and how he might opt to re-sign with Barcelona this summer. It's being reported that he might be willing to take a salary cut and take on a secondary role with the team and allow Ferran to be the starter, and he might be comfortable with that. The writer thinks this might be a relief to Barca, as it would allow them to not have to worry about reinforcing the attack this summer, and they can focus on more important positions, which include that left-sided center back position. And then it names a couple of options that might be in play that Barcelona think might be priority worth pursuing this summer on that side, which includes Schlotterbeck, Mickey van de Veen, and Bastoni. My thoughts on this: Lewy, when Barcelona signed Lewy, and I believe he might have been 35, 36 when he signed with Barcelona, I already thought, I was like, this is a great player. This is a great striker, probably coming into this team as the best player on the team. But what does that say about their future, where they're looking to a 35-year-old to be the focal point of this team for the next couple of years? And then he shut me up because he's been so crucial to this team. And especially last season, I mean, ridiculous that he would be able to score at the age of 36, 37, to be able to, 37, I think, to be able to score over 40 goals in a season. I mean, players who are considered the best in the world in their 20s hope they can score that many goals in one season. And for him to do so last season was absolutely remarkable. And he's been off to a slowish start this season, but I mean, he shows up in the biggest moments when you need him. So I'm a big fan, and I'm so grateful for everything that he has done for this team. I do think that re-signing him would be a mistake. I think this team cannot continue to use him as a crutch to not make this team stronger and younger. I think even if he takes a salary cut, he's still going to command pretty decent wages. At the end of the day, he's still Lewandowski. I think that you move forward with Ferran, you have to sell a couple players this summer. Hopefully they win everything. Well, hopefully they win everything, and with the revenue coming in from being back at the Camp Nou, even though it's not at full capacity, and some title money, and then maybe some sales for some players, and also some players who are going to leave because their contract is expiring, and that opening up some wages in the wage book. I am hoping that they can prioritize. I think it is correct to prioritize a left-sided center back as the first option, but I think you might also be able to find a little bit extra money. I mean, they do it anyway every season. How were they able to sign Danny Olmo 2 years ago or a year ago? Who knows? But somehow they made it work for 60 million. They can make it work where I think they can bring in 2 players. I think they can afford to bring in a world-class center back and still maybe find someone who has potential to fill in that role as a backup striker behind Lewandowski. Or maybe my dreams of a rash nine, even though he hasn't been finishing that well, might come to fruition and he's an option as a backup. Maybe the false nine, which they did that like I want to say once last season with Danny Olmo playing in that false nine, and they scored like 4 goals that game, and they had a truly dominant performance. They have a lot of options that they can navigate with without having to bring Lewandowski back. So I just think it would be a mistake. I think it would be a crutch, and I think Lewandowski would also be in his best interest. I mean, he's Lewandowski. He can make as much money as he wants to if he goes to whether it's the MLS or to Saudi Arabia, and he would be the star, and he would not be fighting for minutes with anyone. And honestly, with his record, he has nothing to prove to anyone. He has no reason to stay at Barcelona other than the great weather and the vibes and the historic team and every reason why you would want to stay at Barcelona. But at the same time, I think he has nothing to prove to anyone. He doesn't need to make any sacrifices in order to stay on a team. I think he's earned his swan song, if you will say, if we can call it that. And I think it would be best for both parties, honestly. That said, this article also mentioned 3 options for a possible left-sided center back, and I just want to talk about those real quick. First one that they mentioned is Schlotterbeck. I think this likely makes the most sense, or not makes the most sense, is the most likely option for who might be possible for them. Hansi Flick is likely familiar with him from his time in Germany. I think he is big, athletic, great passer of the ball, good leader, tremendous energy, and is likely the most affordable of the 3 options named. The next one I'll talk about is Bastoni. I think he is the least likely of the 3 options named, just because, I mean, he is an diehard through and through. He's going to be one of those players that spends his entire career there. In my opinion, I would be shocked to see him leave that team. He lives and breathes that club. And I think he's going to be the most expensive. I think he's probably the best of this 3 so far. I mean, he's a ridiculous player. He's one of my top defenders in all of Europe, and absolute quality. But I would be shocked to see him leave, and I would say that what they likely would ask for him would probably be too high for the other options that are on the table. And then the last option there is Mickey van de Ven. Me personally, this would be my favorite option. I am a huge fan of him. I think he has a lot to still improve on and work on, but the intangibles and what is there to work with, I think he has the greatest potential of any center back playing in Europe right now. I live in utter fear that if Barcelona never signs this player, Madrid will, because they tend to do that. They tend to sign really, really good players who are very athletic and are frustrating to play against. And if only they could get a coach who can put it all together. But I mean, Mickey van de Ven is one of the fastest players in Europe, period. And he plays center back, which is just an extra plus, and crazy to think about. And with this team playing as high of a line as they like to play, I think what they've truly been missing in that center back position is a player who can cover for them when there is a breakaway, when there is a mistake, and can get there in time, and if not make the tackle, at least make it that much harder for the striker to score. And Mickey van de Ven fits that to a mold, and he's left-sided, left-footed, can play left back in a pinch if you need him to. Great carrier of the ball. I mean, you've seen him score so many not so many, but several incredible solo goals just because he's just that good on the ball. And I think his passing can improve. I think his defensive IQ can improve, especially with a coach like Hansi Flick, who tends to get the best out of players and improve their game. I think his tackling ability will only improve as he matures. I would love to see this. I think he might also be a little bit expensive, but I would love to see them shell out the extra money if it meant they could get a player like him. He's also younger than Schlotterbeck. So that's my thoughts on those three players. I will have the articles, as always, linked in the description for this video if you want to check them out yourself and check out the sources. But please let me know what you think about the upcoming game. Are you nervous at all? Should we be nervous? Stranger things literally happened today. But with this Hansi Flick team, I'm not too worried. They have the right mentality, it seems like, going into almost every game. But let me know what you think. Let me know what your score predictions are. Let me know who you would like to see them sign this summer as left-sided center back. Who is your top option? Is it one of these three, or do you have someone else who would be like your dream center back signing? Do you think they can afford to wait till the summer, or would you prefer to see them sign someone this winter and maybe pull another fake lever? I don't even know what that means. I wish I had financial levers in my life. Yeah, let me know what you think. Please like, comment, subscribe, interact with me. I would love to hear from you. And I'll see you tomorrow after the game. Good luck and go Barca.